Hello everyone, welcome to ekeeda.com. So myself Varun and I'll be teaching you concrete structures as well as hydrology. Okay. So both these topics are very important. Okay. So first of all, I will be teaching you concrete structures. Now before starting concrete structures, I would like to tell you about the weightage of concrete structures in GATE examination. Okay. Concrete structure plays a very important role, very vital role in a lot of examinations like state PSCs, ESC as well as GATE. But as far as the GATE point of view is concerned, even a single mark is very important. I know a lot of students who could not get into PSUs just by 0 point something marks. For example, I have a student, he had 74.6 marks, right? And one student who had 74.4 marks. So the 74.6 marks when he got a call from a PSU. On the other hand, the 74.4 student, he did got a call from a PSU. Okay. So even a single mark, even a 0 point something mark plays a very important role. So before starting any topic, we must know what is the weightage of that particular topic in GATE examination. Okay. Now, talking about the concrete structures, now listen to this very carefully. Talking about the concrete structures, now let me tell you about the weightage. So, if I consider structural analysis plus RCC or concrete structures plus steel structures, if I consider all these three carry a weightage of around 17 to 20 marks. 17 to 20 marks. It depends. It can change, right? But normally it is in between 17 to 20 marks. If I consider RCC or concrete structures, if I consider it, it carries around 50 to 60% marks. It means that out of 17 to 20 marks, the concrete structure or the RCC will carry around 9 to 11 marks. 9 to 11 marks. So this is very important. And I have seen that people who have good command on RCC or concrete structure, they get a very good rank in GATE examinations. Okay. So this subject is very important. It has around 9 to 11 marks, right? So very important. This year also it has around 8 to 9 marks. This year also 2020 GATE, and previous year also it has a huge weightage. So we will be focusing on concrete structures, okay, and we will be securing as much as possible. Okay. Now the concrete structures, the first lecture would be about cement, its manufacturing and types. Okay. Now regarding cement, you will also be studying about cement in building materials. Also you will be studying about cement, but I will be teaching you that topic which is very important for designing of concrete structure. For example, shrinkage, you have creep, you have other lot of properties. You have the IS code specifications, IS 456-2000, you must be knowing about it, right? Which IS code will be using? We will be using IS 456-2000. So this is the Bible. This is the Bible of concrete structures. Okay, IS 456-2000. Whosoever is watching my video and he doesn't have a hard copy of IS 456-2000, I would strictly recommend go to a Photoshop, a photocopy shop or something, download it from internet and get a hard copy of IS 456-2000. Now remembering IS 456-2000, each and every clause is almost next to impossible. Even I have seen toppers who cannot remember every clause of IS 456 because it's a very thick IS, right? But I will be teaching you only those clauses which are very important as far as the GATE point of view is concerned. Okay, I will be telling you about that in detail. Okay, otherwise there are a lot of clauses. It will be very difficult to remember all the clauses. Okay, now let me start about the concrete structure. So the first lecture which I will be teaching you, it is about cement manufacturing and types. Now let me tell you about the first topic in RCC, reinforced cement concrete structures. Okay, the first topic is cement manufacturing and types. Okay, now first of all, let us know that what is cement. You must be knowing now. You are in civil engineering. Cement is the basic of civil engineering, right? Every structure, every concrete structure has the basic constituent in it, that is known as cement. Okay, now what is cement? Now what type of role does a cement plays? Obviously cement is, what is mean by cement? Now cement is basically a mixture of argillaceous as well as the calcareous compounds. I will tell you about that. What is argillaceous, what is calcareous. Now, cement acts as a binding material. Now, this is very important. Cement acts as a binding material. You know that in concrete, what you have? You have aggregates. Fine aggregates, coarse aggregates, you have water and other constituents also. You can also have admixtures, mineral admixture, chemical admixtures. A lot of things you can have in cement depending on its type. Okay. Now, cement plays a very important role. What it plays, it actually binds all the particles. Now, for example, let us say you have two rods. Okay, you have two rods and you want to make an angle. How will you make an angle? You will connect the two rods and you will do the welding. Okay. Now, if you don't do welding, is it possible to make an angle? No, not at all. It is not possible to make an angle without either bolting or without welding. Similarly, you cannot form concrete, you cannot form PCC or RCC. PCC means plain cement concrete, RCC means reinforced cement concrete which has steel in it. It is not possible to make these two without the help of cement. Okay, so cement actually plays as a binding material of all the particles. Now, for example, let us say this is cement. Let us say this is RCC. Let us say this is RCC. It has steel rods in it. It has cement. It has aggregates. Everything, right? Now these are the aggregates. Let's say these are the aggregates. These are the aggregates. Okay. You add some water as per the Abraham's law water cement ratio. Okay. You add some water. Now the cement it actually binds the particles. It actually binds the particles like this with the rod, interparticular attraction. It binds the particles. Without cement, you cannot form concrete, right? So cement is very important. Now, when I am teaching you about cement, it should be known to you that how cement is manufactured. Okay, what are the constituents of cement? If we increase an amount of a particular constituent, what will be the effect of that constituent on the properties of concrete? Okay, so all these aspects must be known to you, right? So now starting with the cement, right? So how cement is formed? Now if somebody asks you what is cement, now you will say that cement is basically formed by pulverization of clinker followed by calcination. Again I am repeating, pulverization of clinker followed by calcination. So this is the basic definition of cement, right? Now let us focus on these 3 points. So first is pulverize. So what is pulverize? Pulverize means basically breaking. That is pulverization, breaking of particles. Okay. Cement is formed by argillaceous as well as calcareous compounds. Argillaceous, for the time being, I am telling you, argillaceous means which have major component of alumina in it, right? What are calcareous? Calcareous have more component of calcium in it. Okay, so cement is formed by argillaceous plus the calcareous compounds. Okay, so pulverization means breaking of these particles. So we have the particles. First of all, we will break. We have treadmills and other instruments also. I will be explaining you that. First of all, we break the particles. Now, what is clinker? Now, clinker is a powdered form, not a very fine powder. It can have coarse powder also, right? Not a mixture of both the two, the fine as well as the coarse particles. Okay, so clinker is basically a powdered form, right? Now, what is calcination? Whenever you will heard this term calcination, always remember we have to heat it, right? So we have to heat it at what temperature? Now, this question has been asked many times. Not in GATE examination, but other examination, this question has been asked, right? That at what temperature calcination takes place. So always remember, it is in between 1400 to 1500 degrees Celsius. This is important, right? So what is cement? Cement is formed by pulverization of clinker followed by calcination. As simple as that. Okay. Now, coming to the next point, in cement, the next point is the components of cement, right? The next point is components of cement. Components of cement. Components of cement, right? Now, let me explain you the components of cement. Now, cement has lime, right? Cement has alumina, cement has silica, cement has magnesia, cement has iron oxide also. Now all these components a cement has. Now the important question is, what is the percentage of all these elements? And that is very important, that you should learn, right? I will explain you one trick by which you can learn all these components. I will explain you a trick also, right? So first of all, let me tell you what are the components and what is the percentage of components, and plus what is the role of that particular component in cement. For example, some component provides color, some components provides hardness, some component provides, you can say, strength, early strength, late strength. So what is the procedure, or you can say what is the function of that particular component? I will explain you that. Okay, so first of all, let me write down the what are the components in cement. First of all, let me rub it and I will write it down, right? Now, components of cement. Components of cement. Now I have written all the components which are present in cement. Now let us discuss each and every component one by one, because this is important. This has been asked many times. Okay. Now first one is silica, SiO2, silica. Okay. Now the percentage of silica is in between 17 to 25%. If somebody asks you that what is the exact percentage, you just tell him it is around 20%. Right? But the percentage of silica, it varies in between 17 to 25%. Now the purpose or the function of the component silica, it provides strength. Remember, it provides strength to cement. But sometimes, let us say the percentage of silica is in excess. Excess means it is in more than 25%, right? Then what will it do? It will increase the setting time. Why I have written in excess? Because this question has been asked 2 or 3 times in GATE examinations. Previous year, 1996, 1997, older GATE examinations, right? So this question has been asked. That what will happen if silica is in excess in cement? What it will do? It will increase the setting time. Second component is alumina, Al2O3, aluminum oxide, right? Now, the percentage of alumina is in between 3 to 6%. To be more precise, it is around 5%, right? What does it do? What does it do? It increases the setting time, or you can say that it quickly settles, the cement sets quickly, right, due to the presence of alumina. Okay. Now, if it is in excess, what will it do? It will reduce the strength. This question has not been asked, but still I have written, because if they have asked this question, they might ask this question in near future, right? So if it is in excess, it will reduce the strength. Now, third component is lime, right? So now, the percentage of lime is highest. So this question, which I am just telling you, that which component has the highest percentage in cement, the answer is lime. This question has been asked in many times in state ESC, sometimes in ESC also, right? ESC examination also. So this is also important, that the highest percentage has in cement is of lime, right? CaO. Now what does it do? It provides strength and controls the soundness, right? Now what is soundness? Now let me explain you what is soundness. So for the time being, I will explain you soundness in detail when we will come to the properties of cement. But soundness, you just for the time just remember that you can say that it can either expand or it can either shrink, or you can say that the weathering effect on cement is known as soundness. For example, let us say you have concrete, right? If let us say the temperature is very high, what will happen? The moisture component will evaporate. The water will evaporate from concrete. What will happen? It will shrink. So basically, this shrinkage or the expanding of cement is known as the soundness, right? Why does it happen? It happens due to the weathering action. Okay. So for the time being, just remember that due to the weathering action, the expansion or the contraction of concrete or cement is known as soundness for the time being. Okay. Now, if it is in excess, the lime, what will happen? It will decrease the strength. This is important. Okay. Now, next one is iron oxide. Now, for regarding iron oxide, okay. Now, for the time being, I am explaining you about cement. But in future, whenever you have any component or you have any question regarding color, right? I again repeating. In any question, if there is something mentioned that color due to the component, color in this component is due to The answer most probably will be iron oxide, because iron oxide plays a very important role in imparting color to cement, right? So it provides color. But if it is in excess, what will happen? It will give you bad color, okay? And the percentage, it is nearly 3%, right? Next one is magnesia. So magnesia, it is in between 1 to 3%. What does it do? It provides hardness to cement. But if it is in excess, obviously it will decrease the strength. It will reduce the strength. Okay. Now, the important thing is, I told you that I will tell you a trick to remember this thing, because silica, alumina, lime, sometimes you might forget it is. What is the trick? The trick is, now remember this thing: SALIM. It might be name of your friend. The name is Salim, right? So just remember this name: SALIM, Salim. So just remember this name. S means silica, A means alumina, L means lime, I means iron oxide, M means magnesia. Just remember this thing, and you will just remember the percentage also. Right? How to remember the percentage? You can form any tree, because when I was in college, right, I used to make a lot of phases, a lot of names like Salim I made in college, right? Similarly, you can remember this also. For example, it is 17. So 17's let us S, right? This is 3. Let us say it is T. 6. Now this is S. 3. This is T. And this is again 3 T. So S T S T T. Similarly, you can make your own, right? But this thing you have to remember, that is Salim, right? Okay, because when you are in examination, there is a huge pressure. So in huge pressure, it becomes very difficult to actually remember, or you might forget iron oxide, you might forget lime, anything you might forget. But if you remember the name, you can easily write down the answer, right? You can easily recognize it. Okay, so Salim is the keyword, and that is how you remember the percentage. You can make your own. Okay, now moving to the next part. Apart from these basic components, cement also has some additional components like gypsum, like silicon trioxide, and other components also. So now let us discuss about the other components and what are their functions. Now let us discuss. Okay, now let me rub it. Okay, now apart from the 5 components which I have already told you, what are the components? It is Salim. S for silica, A for alumina, L for lime, I for iron oxide, and M for magnesia. Apart from these 5 elements, these 5 components, we also have some other additional components in cement. Now let us discuss the effect of these components. Now this is very important, because in GATE examinations they are not asking you about the usual questions. What will be the effect of alumina? Everybody knows that. But they will be asking you about some exceptional things. Okay, so this is the basis of GATE examination, right? Now, other components, we have silicon trioxide, SiO3. It has a very minimal content, around 1.5%. What it does, it helps in the fusion of clinker, right? Fusion means, for example, you have argillaceous as well as siliceous compounds. You heat the clinker, which is known as calcination, right? At that time, there should be a fusion. So silica trioxide helps in fusion. But if it is in excess, what will happen? Efflorescence will happen. Now, what is efflorescence? You must be knowing that, for example, a newly built house is there, right? After 4 to 5 days, now when you go to the house, if it has not been painted, if you go to the house, you will see that for example, this is wall of the house. So there will be some powdery substance accumulated over the surface of wall. Now what is that? That is basically some salty components, they come out. That procedure is known as efflorescence, right? So if silicon trioxide is in excess, it will cause the efflorescence. Okay. Now coming to the next component, that is gypsum. Now this is important. This question has been asked many times, even in GATE examination also, other examinations also, right? Now next component is gypsum. The quantity of gypsum should be around 2%, right? If it is in excess, what will happen? It will reduce the strength of cement. Okay. Now, question which has been asked is that what is the effect of gypsum on cement? So what it will do? It will reduce the setting time. Now the question is, sir, what is meant by setting time? Setting time means, for example, you have concrete, right? Concrete has cement in it. Now concrete has been laid over a surface, and suppose that it is a monsoon season. It is monsoon season, and you don't want that cement to be you don't want that cement to be in a rough stage for a longer period of time, because there can be rain, right, and it will be washed away, right? So at that time you need fast setting cement. So if you want fast setting cement, obviously you must have some gypsum in it. Why? Because it will reduce the setting time. Once the structure has set, it has still it is not hardened, but it is set. It means that even if some rain comes, it will flow away, right? It will not flow away. If the rain will come, the water will flow away, right? The water will not get penetrated in the concrete structure. Okay, so that is the meaning of reducing the setting time. Okay. Now next one is soda ash or fly ash. They are in between around 1%. What they do, they increase the workability. Now the question is, sir, what is workability? For the time being, workability in simple sense, I would say the ease of handling concrete, right? For example, if somebody says this concrete is very workable, it is highly workable, it means that you can pump the concrete to a longer distance. It is highly workable. If it is lower in workability, obviously you cannot pump it to a larger distance. Workability is majorly affected by the water cement ratio. If it has a higher water cement ratio, workability will be high. If it has a lower water cement ratio, workability will be low. And workability is inversely proportional to strength. If a particular concrete has higher workability, it will have a lower strength if you have not added some admixtures in it, right? If it has a lower workability, it will have a higher strength. So we will discuss about that also, right? But for the time being, it accelerates the workability. Okay, now if it is in excess, again efflorescence will come and it will decrease the strength, right? So these are the effects of some other component. Okay, now one question was asked few years back in GATE examination, that if some alkalis are present in cement, what will happen? Now the question was, if alkalis are present, if alkalis means, let us say you have Na2O or K2O or something like that. If alkalis are present, then what will happen to the cement? Now if alkalis are present, they will reduce the setting time. Remember this. If alkalis are present, they will reduce the setting time. Reduce the setting time. Right? So this is the effect of alkalis on cement. Right? The next topic is hydration of cement. Now what is hydration? So in class 12th also you must know what is hydration. If you add something to water, an exothermic reaction will take place. Okay, so that exothermic reaction or that whole reaction is known as hydration. Hydration means adding of water and getting an exothermic reaction. Similarly, in case of cement also, what will happen? You must have done these experiments in your college also. If there is a cement, right, if you add some water, what will happen? Exothermic reaction will take place. What is an exothermic reaction? The reaction in which heat is evolved, right? So similarly here also, so cement plus water, what will happen? An exothermic reaction will take place. Exothermic reaction will take place. Okay. Now this exothermic reaction, why I am focusing on this word exothermic, because a question was asked a few years back that if you decrease the temperature of surroundings, listen to me very carefully and apply your brain. If you decrease the temperature of your surroundings, what will happen? Will the reaction of cement, it will be fastened or it will be slowed? What will happen? Just apply your brain. What will happen? A lot of you must have told me that the reaction will take place at a faster pace. The answer is correct. Why? Because you know that cement plus water gives you some compound that will be CSH gel. Some Bogies compounds will be there. I will explain you about the Bogies compounds. If it is an exothermic reaction, it means that heat is getting liberated from here. If you decrease the heat of surroundings, what will happen? Obviously, the reaction, it will get shifted to the right hand side. This is the right hand side and this is the left hand side. So reaction will be shifted to the right hand side. This is class 12th concept. Okay, so if you decrease the heat of the surroundings, what will happen? The pace of the reaction, the speed of the reaction will be more. And if you increase the heat, what will happen? It will be less. Right? So now what will happen? After this exothermic reactions, some compounds will be formed. If you add water to any chemical, some compounds will be formed. So similarly, in cement also, if you add water, some compounds are formed, and that are known as Bogies compounds. Bogies compounds. Very important. This topic is very important. Bogies compounds. Okay, because in 2020 also one question came from this topic. It was about the Bogies compounds. Okay, so now what are Bogies compound? Now Bogies compound, they are basically 4 Bogies compounds, and that are known as C3S, C2S, C3A, C4AF. Right? Tricalcium silicate, dicalcium silicate, tricalcium aluminate, and tetracalcium aluminoferrite. So these are the 4 Bogies compounds, right? If you add water in cement, I am again repeating, if you add water in cement, an exothermic reaction will take place, and that exothermic reaction will lead to the formation of these 4 compounds, and these 4 compounds are known as the Bogies compounds. It is on the name of the scientist who discovered these compounds, right? So first one is C3S, that is tricalcium silicate, C2S dicalcium silicate, C3A tricalcium aluminate, and C4AF tetracalcium aluminoferrite. Okay, so this was okay. A lot of you must be knowing. Now, what you must be not be knowing, a lot of you, is that these components have certain names. These components have certain names. So this is known as halite. This is known as belite. This is known as salite. And this is known as phthalite. Just pardon me if the spelling, if there is some spelling mistake. Okay. So halite, belite, salite, and phthalite. This is important, right? Because till now, not even a single question has been asked based on the name of these components. That is halite, belite, salite, or phthalite. What questions they are asking in GATE exam? They are asking if C3S is more, what will happen? If C2S is more, what will happen? But if they ask you if belite has more concentration, what will happen? Then a lot of students will get confused. Then what is belite? Okay. So what is belite? Belite is C2S, dicalcium silicate. What is halite? That is tricalcium silicate. Okay. So just remember it. That is A, B, C, and F. This is 3. This is 2. This is 3. Just remember these two, 3 and 2. Halite for C3, belite for C2, salite for C3A, right? And tetracalcium aluminoferrite, F for ferrite, right? So tetracalcium aluminoferrite. Just remember it like this. You will remember it. Okay, I have remembered it like this only. Okay, A, B, C, F. Halite, belite, salite, and ferrite. Now, the most important part is what is the component. If, for example, let us see you have cement. If you add water, it will be an exothermic reaction. Now, what is the percentage of all these components and what is the function of all these components? That is important because these questions are asked many times. Even in 2020 GATE also this question was asked. It was shift 1, right? So it was asked that what will happen if C3S is more. I exactly don't remember the question, but it was like this. That if you decrease the C2S, then the strength will be what, the effect of strength will be what, something like that. Okay, you can go to the GATE side and you will get the question. Okay, so it was like this. So the effect of Bogies compounds, right, the percentage of Bogies compounds and their functions, I will explain you now, right? Now, going to the next part, what is the percentage and what is the function of these Bogies compounds? Now let us discuss. Okay, so these are the Bogies compounds which I have already told you. That is halite, that is belite, salite, and phthalite. Now, before noting down, first of all, don't make notes. Don't make notes. I will be explaining. After that, you can pause the video and make the notes. Okay. Now, first of all, understand. First of all, is the halite. The percentage of halite is in between 32 to 35% around. Okay. Now, it gives hardness and strength in initial days. Now, this is important. Now, even I got confused when I was in college. What is meant by initial days? What? Obviously, I am an engineer, there should be time frame for a particular time frame. If somebody says this is very heavy, so how much heavy? 100 kgs, 150 kg, what is heavy, right? So similarly, if somebody says your initial days means 1 to 14 days. This is the initial days. Okay. Second thing, belite or C2S, dicalcium silicate. It is around 40 to 43%. What does it do? It provides strength in later days. Now, for example, let us say you have cement. You have added some water, exothermic reaction takes place. All these four components, they are formed, right? Now, first of all, in initial days, the strength, the component which is responsible for the strength is elite, C3S, important. In later days, because you know that a cement gains its strength up to 1 year or even 1.5 years. Okay. You must have done some experiments in your college days, that 7 days strength, 28 days strength, 14 days strength, and even 1 year strength also, right? So you know that as the time period increases, the strength also increases. But in initial days, it means that up to 1 to 14 days, only elite or C3S, tricalcium silicate, only it is responsible for the initial day strength. But in later days, after let us say after 14 days, the component which is responsible is belite or C2S or dicalcium silicate. Now, C3A, tricalcium aluminate. What does it do? It quickly hardens the cement concrete. And the fourth one is C4AF, tetracalcium aluminoferrite. Its percentage is in between 9 to 10%. It quickly sets the cement concrete, right? But it does not have any effect or any impact on the strength of concrete, right? Now the second important thing is about the heat of hydration. Just remember one thing. Addition of water in cement is exothermic reaction. Exothermic means heat is evolved, but all these components have different contribution towards the heat, right? The highest heat is evolved by C3A, that is tricalcium aluminate. It is around 864 kilojoules per kg. Now, remember one thing which I am going to tell you that is very important. Heat of hydration is directly proportional to strength. The more heat of hydration, the more strength. Now the question is, sir, if heat of hydration is directly proportional to strength, why don't we have maximum percentage of C3A instead of this C2S or C4AF? What is the reason? The reason is that, for example, if you have a benefit from a particular component, you will also have a disadvantage of that component, right? Because let us say that C3A, it gives the maximum heat of hydration, 864 kilojoules per kg. If we increase the component of C3A, what will happen? These will decrease. See, because ultimately how much should be the overall percentage? The overall percentage should be 100%. You cannot increase the components beyond 100%. If you increase this component, either this has to decrease, or this has to be decreased, or this has to be decreased. If this is decreased, later days strength will not come. If this is decreased, initial days strength will not come. If this is decreased, then quick setting will not take place. Obviously, some cons will be there, right? If you have pros, you will have cons. This is one point. Number 2 point is that heat of hydration comes with a very bad effect. What is the bad effect? Now, if heat of hydration is very high, there will be cracks in concrete, right? Because you must be knowing that you must have performed a lot of experiments. If there is a high heat of hydration, a lot of cracks will be there. If a lot of cracks are there, then there is a possibility of sulfate attack. What is sulfate attack? I will explain you later, right? So that is why everything should be within the proportion. That is the reason. Okay. So this is the reason which I have explained you regarding the heat of hydration. Now questions which have been asked from this table which I have just written here is that you have to arrange the components as per the heat of hydration, right? So which has the highest heat of hydration? C3A. So C3A has the highest heat of hydration. First of all, C3A. It is highest. After that, which has the next one? The next one is C3S. Now you have C3S. After that, what you have? You have C2S. No, sorry. You have C4AF. And at the end, you have the least one, that is C2S. which is responsible for the later days strength. So this is the table which has been asked many times. That is C3A has highest heat of hydration, then C3S, then you have C4AF, and at the end the least heat of hydration is C2S. Now coming to the next topic in this, which is the CSH gel. Now what is CSH gel? Let me explain. Now talking about the CSH gel. Now what is CSH? Now C means CaO, S means SiO2, H means water. Now what happens is that you know that cement has gypsum in it. Cement has, let me write down the formula for gypsum. For gypsum you have CaSO4 into 2 times of H2, right? You have gypsum, you have alkylicious compound, you have siliceous compounds, right? A lot of components are there. When you add water, Bogies compounds are formed. But do you think that Bogies compounds are formed like here you have C3A, here you have C4A, here? No, all this thing will be in mixture, right? And that mixture will be in the form of a gel, right? Gel type of structure which is formed is this. This is known as CSH gel. Now, the important thing is, you know that you have C3S, and this gel type of structure is responsible for the strength of the concrete or the strength of the cement. Now, you have Bogies compound. First one is halite. If water reacts with halite, it forms 75% of gel. 75% of gel if water reacts with halite. But if water reacts with belite or dicalcium silicate, it is responsible for 99% formation of gel. Very important. The thing which I am just telling you is very important. Why? Because one question was asked few years back. Now, if tricalcium silicate or halite reacts with water, it forms 75% of gel. If dicalcium silicate or belite reacts with water, it forms 99% of gel plus some amount of calcium hydroxide is also formed. Plus calcium hydroxide is also formed. Right? Now, the reason why I am writing is that you know that C2S forms 99% of gel, C3S forms 75% of gel, and it has been found by experiments that if water reacts with C3S, then the percentage of CaOH whole twice is more as compared to when water reacts with C2S. This is the only reason, I am again repeating, this is the only reason why C2S is greater than C3S. This is the only reason. First reason is 99% gel. Second reason is calcium hydroxide is formed in a smaller component as compared to calcium trioxide. So this is the only reason why C2S has greater percentage as compared to C3S, because in the table I told you that C2S is about 40% and C3S is about 30%. I told you 32%. I told you, right? That is the only reason. Okay. Now, next topic is the addition of water. If you add water to cement, obviously cement is not a solid structure. It has some pores, it has some voids in it, right? So some water is used by cement for hydration and some water is used by cement for filling the pores. Now, how much is water is used by cement for filling the pores and how much water is used by cement for hydration? Now, let us know. The percentage is, let me write it, the percentage is now 23% of water is used for hydration. 23% of water is used for hydration and around 15% of water is used for filling pores. Filling pores, right? So this is important that around 23% of water is used for hydration and 15% of water is used for filling the pores. So total it comes around to be 38%. So if somebody says you that what is the percentage of water used in cement, you will say around 38% of water, right? So water cement ratio will be cement ratio will be around 0.38. Okay. Now this is not exact. It depends upon the Abraham's law. Abraham's law, it says that the water cement ratio, there is a graph, particular graph for that. The water cement ratio is determined with the help of the graph, that how much strength you want, how much should be the water cement ratio. That depends on the Abraham's law. That I am not going to teach you. In some other videos, some other faculty will be teaching you that, the Abraham's law, right? In the cement components, or you say in the building components, you will be taught that. Okay. So water cement ratio should be around 0.38. So 23% is used for hydration and 15% of water is used for filling the pores. Now let us understand a very small topic which is known as the manufacturing of cement. So you must know how cement is manufactured. Now till now I have told you about the Bogies compound, what will happen if you add water to cement, okay? I have told you about the C3A, what are the percentages. I have told you about Salim also, right? Remember that? I have told you about Salim also. Now, the thing is, how cement is manufactured? Tell me that, okay? So if you go to the books, you have a very detailed explanation of cement, right? How cement is manufactured. Sometimes students get confused also, right? How cement is manufactured. Now, let me tell you how cement is manufactured in a very brief way, okay? Now, cement is manufactured by two types, right? First one is the dry process, another one is the wet process. From the name, it is clear. Dry means it will involvement of water will not be involved at an initial stage. I will explain you that. In wet process, involvement of water will also be there at an early stage. Now, first of all, let us discuss the dry process. In dry process, calcareous means compounds having calcium in that, lime in that, okay? Argillaceous, compounds having alumina in that, right? All these two components, first of all, they are crushed. I told you that. How they are crushed? They are crushed with the help of mills, right? That is the grinding ball mills. So you have a big grinders, right? So GBM is the short name for that, grinding ball mills. Calcareous as well as argillaceous, they are mixed together, right? After grinding, they are mixed together in the mixing chamber. And we add around 4 to 5%, nearly 4% of water in the mixing chamber to increase the workability. Now, what is workability? I have already explained you, okay? Now, after the mixing chambers, these components go to collection silos. What are collection silos? They are big containers, right? All the mixing these mixed components, they go to the collection silos. In collection silos, we add aluminium oxide, silicon trioxide, fly ash, etc. If suppose some admixtures also you also want to add, you can add in the collection silos. Okay. Now after the collection silos, the whole mixture after addition of alumina and all, right? After the collection silo, it again goes to a mixing chamber. Again, all these components are mixed, right? After the mixing chamber, now this is important. Now questions have been asked many previous years in GATE examination about the rotary kiln, right? After the mixing chamber, then it goes to a rotary kiln. The rotary kiln, you must have studied in BTech also. It's a very big kiln. Its length is around 150 meter. It's very big, right? It keeps on rotating at a particular revolutions per minute, right? All these components, they are fused together in rotary kiln. Fused means the calcination procedure takes place. Now, what is calcination? I have already told you. Now, tell me what is the temperature for calcination? It is 1400 to 1500 degrees Celsius. 1400 to 1500 degrees Celsius. This is the temperature for calcination. This is important, okay? Now, all the calcination, all this fusion, it takes place in rotary kiln. This question has been asked, that calcination takes place where? It takes place in rotary kiln, okay? Now, in rotary kiln, clinker is formed. Now, what is clinker? It is a powdered form. Not very fine, not very coarse, normal powdered form, right? After the rotary kiln, it again goes to the grinding ball mills. Again, it is grinded because again I told you it is not a proper powdered form. It is a clinker form, right? A coarse form, right? It is again goes to the grinding ball mills where it is converted into powdered form. After smashing it, it is formed in a powdered form. Now after the grinding ball mills, your cement is manufactured. Now when you go to markets, you get your cement bag. Now what is the weight of cement bag? Tell me that. That is very important, being a civil engineer, right? That is 50 kg is very important, right? 50 kg is the weight of cement. Now if somebody asks you what is the density of cement, what is the density of cement? Every cement, whether it is rapid hardening cement or some other, every cement has different densities. But for the time being, a normal cement which we use in daily life, it has a density of, a mass density of 1440 kilograms per meter cube. 1440 kilograms per meter cube. That is the mass density of cement. Cement, not concrete. If somebody asks you what is the mass density of PCC, PCC means plain cement concrete, which does not have any reinforcement in it. So the mass density of PCC, this was for cement only. For PCC it is 2400 kilograms per meter cube. If somebody asks you what is the mass density for RCC, RCC means it has a reinforcement also, right? So RCC, for RCC it is 500 kilogram per meter cube. But for the time being, when we will be discussing about the design of beams, design of columns, we will be using this, right? But for now, time being, it is 1440 kilograms per meter cube. If somebody asks you that a 50 kg of bag has how much liters or how much meter cube, what is the volume of 50 kg bag, how will you determine it? Simple. You know that density is equals to mass per unit volume. As simple as that. Let me rub this and I'll explain you, right? It is very simple. Now, density is equals to mass per unit volume. How much is the density? It is 1440. So 1440, it is equals to mass. How much is mass per 1 kg of bag? 50 kgs. So 50 divided by volume. How much is volume? That I don't know. That is, let us say, V. So V will be equal to 50 divided by 1440 meter cube. If you solve it, you will get it to be around, if you convert it in liters, if you multiply 1 meter cube by 1000, it will come out to be liter. It will come out to be roughly 34.9, or you can say 35 liters. Remember this. Means that one bag of cement which we go and buy from market, it has a volume of around 35 liters. This is important, okay? So in now next videos, I will be telling you about the types of cement. Not types of cement, wet process and then types of cement, right? Next video I will be talking about the wet process and type of cement. Now let us discuss the wet process and the types of cement. Now let us discuss about the wet process of cement manufacturing, right? In wet process everything is same. Now the name wet means that some amount of water is involved, right? Now where the water is involved, I will explain. Now in wet process, same as the dry process, calcareous as well as the argillaceous. What is calcareous? Which has calcium. Argillaceous which has alumina in it, right? Both these are grinded. Calcareous also grinded, but the argillaceous in wet process before grinding, right, they are basically washed. So here water is involved. In dry process there was no washing, right? Now why it is washed? It is washed to remove the extra alumina in it, right? Now it is washed, again it is grinded, then they are mixed, then a raw slurry is formed. This is important. This question was asked few years back in some normal exam, I guess it was some state case exam, that raw slurry is formed in number 1 dry, number 2 wet, number 3 some other options were there, right? So raw slurry is basically formed in the wet process, okay? Now after the raw slurry is formed, then the raw slurry, it is taken to a higher position by use of some elevators. The raw slurry is there, it gets dipped, the extra metal get dipped, it is passed to a higher position, right? Why higher position? Because from the higher position it is get dropped into the rotary kiln. Rotary kiln is the same, right? But here, remember, here in rotary kiln, addition of gypsum takes place. However, in dry process, addition of gypsum was taking place in the grinding ball machines, mills, right? Whereas in wet process, gypsum is added in the rotary kiln itself, not in the GPM, right? After the GPM, the cement 50 kg bags, they are formed, right? Now the question is, sir, you have explained drying process as well as the wet process. Which one do we prefer more? So the answer is dry process. Dry process we prefer more. The reason is that in case of wet process, around 40% of water involvement is there. 40% of water is needed. Why? Because we have to wash the argillaceous compounds also, right? So 40% of water is involved, which increases the cost. Which increases the cost. So it is costlier as compared to dry process. In this process, it is more costly as compared to the dry process, right? In this process, bigger machines are involved. Bigger machines like the elevators. It's a very big machine. You have to elevate the raw slurry, right? So big machines alternatively increases the cost of the process, right, or manufacturing of cement. That is why we do not use wet process as much as the dry process. So generally we are using dry process, right? Now after the manufacturing of cement, now I explained the manufacturing of cement. Now the question is, sir, what are the types of cement, right? I already told you that in this topic we will be discussing about the manufacturing as well as the types. So manufacturing has been discussed. Now coming to the types of cement. Now all these are theoretical questions, right? Whatever I have taught you till now, most of the questions are theoretical questions. Only a few questions can be numerical. For example, I told you about the mass density of cement, which is around 1440. If somebody says what is the if somebody says if the mass density change, what will the change in volume? Then these types of questions can be numerical questions. But 99% of the questions are basically the theoretical questions from this topic, which I have already discussed with you. Line by line, I have discussed the types of questions which can be asked in GATE examinations. Okay. Now the next topic is the types of cement. Now the first type is ordinary Portland cement. As from the name it is clear, it is ordinary. It means that nothing special has been added. Neither it is rapid hardening nor it is low heat. It is an ordinary cement. Whatever percentage I have told you, these all these percentage have been are in this cement. Okay, so ordinary Portland cement is of three types. That is grade 33, grade 43, and grade 53. Now, what is grade 33, 43, 53? It is basically the characteristic strength at 28 days. What is characteristic strength? When I will be discussing about the properties of concrete, I will be discussing that in detail. But for the time being, just remember grade 33 means it has a characteristic strength of 33 Newton per mm square at the end of 28 days. Now its strength, its characteristic strength is given by sigma ck or fck. Depends on you what you want to. Let us say I denote by fck. It is 43 Newton per mm square, and for grade 53 it is 53 Newton per mm square. Right? Just like I told you about the weight of a cement bag, it is 50 kg, which is very important, very layman question for civil engineers, right? Similarly, you must know what is the specific gravity of cement. So the specific gravity of cement is 3.15. This is important. What is specific gravity? Specific gravity, or you can say relative density. It is you can say you are comparing something, right? For example, the oil has a specific gravity, let's say 0.8. It means that it can float on water. So specific gravity basically tells you the heavier or the lighter as compared to a standard liquid. For the time being, it is, let us say, water, right? The specific gravity of this OPC is around 3.15. Important. So grade 33, grade 43, grade 53. Now the question is, where this grade 33 is used? It is used for small structures. Small structure, like you are designing some staircase or some other small structures at home, right? For small structures, we go with the grade 33. Now, the IS code recommended for grade 33 is IS 269-1989. Okay, now the question is, sir, do I have to remember the IS codes which you have written here? So the answer is yes. If possible, then you have to remember the IS codes. For example, in one examination, it was some state PSC, it was asked that the IS code used for grade 33 cement is. So the answer is IS 269-1989, right? So you, if possible, you should remember the grade for particular cement, right? the IS code for particular cement. Now the second type of cement is rapid hardening cement, right? Second one is rapid hardening cement. Okay, so the next type of cement is rapid hardening cement. As from the name, it is clear that rapid hardening, it means that it will get hardened in a very short period of time, right? Now, again, I have already told you that hardening and setting both are different things. I am again repeating. Now, what is setting? Setting means that, for example, let us say I have a frame, okay, and I have cast some concrete in the frame. Now, setting means after 1 or 2 minutes, then the upper layer will get set. It will be set, upper layer, right? If some rain comes, some wind comes, it will not disturb the structure. Harden means it will gain strength, right? So hardening means gaining strength. Setting means no, it will not be disturbed. So hardening and setting both are different things, right? Don't get confused in the two, right? So rapid hardening cement. Now I told you when I taught you about the Bogies compound that C3S, that is the tricalcium silicate, or which is known as halide. Halide is basically responsible for the initial strength. Initial strength means it will get, the cement will get harder in the initial days. Initial days means 1 to 14 days, right? I have told you 1 to 14 days. Now, if you want a rapid hardening cement, then the percentage of C3S should be greater than C2S. But in ordinary cement, I have already told you that C2S is always greater than C3S. What is the reason? Again, repeating. The reason is C2S, first of all, it gives more gel structure, which is 99%, gives around 70%. Second is, it gives less heat of hydration, it gives more heat of hydration. So these were the two reasons why C2S is more than C3S, but in case of rapid hardening cement, C3S should be greater than C2S, right? Now, let us discuss the properties of rapid hardening cement. The second property is initial rapid hardening, I have already told you, right? The third property is the cost of rapid hardening cement is 10% more than OPC, right? The cost of rapid hardening cement is 10% more than OPC. That is why rapid hardening cement generally we do not use. We use rapid hardening cement only in those cases where initial strength is required. For example, let us say that you have a rigid pavement. Rigid pavement, you must be knowing, rigid pavement which is made by RCC, right? Let's say you have a rigid pavement, okay? Now, let us say let us say that there is some hole in the rigid pavement, some porthole in the rigid pavement, you want to repair it, but continuously some traffic is coming, right? So, obviously you cannot stop the traffic for 7 days or for 1 day so that the cement gets set, normal cement. Obviously at that time you need rapid hardening cement. You will stop the traffic for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes, you will repair the pothole, and after that you will remove the barricading, right? So that the traffic will move at its usual course, right? So at that time we use the rapid hardening cement. Not every time we use it. We use it some special cases, okay? Third thing is particles are finely grinded. Now, one thing is for sure. For example, let us say I have bigger particles. For example, what does it mean finely grinded? Let us say that I have 1 meter cube of coarse aggregates. 1 meter cube of coarse aggregate. Similarly, let us say I have 1 meter cube of fine aggregates. 1 meter cube of fine aggregates. Now just apply some brain. What do you think? Which portion? Let us say this is A and let us say this is B. Which portion, either A or B, will have more surface area? I am again repeating. What do you think? Either option A or option B, which one will have more surface area? Obviously, the answer is option B. Why? Because for the same volume, we have larger number of particles. If we have larger number of particles, obviously the surface area will be higher. If the surface area is higher, always remember that the exothermic reaction, which I was explaining you, that if in water if in cement you add some water, exothermic reaction takes place. So reaction always takes place whenever you have a surface exposed to water, right? If you do not have surface exposed to water, what will happen? Obviously, less or no reaction will take place. So which, either A or B, which has higher surface? B has higher surface. So what do you think? In which case more heat will produce? Obviously in B more heat will produce, or more exothermic reaction will take place. If more exothermic reaction, obviously more strength. more strength, right? If more strength, then what will happen? There is some repercussion of strength. What is that? The repercussion is that, the con is that there will be much shrinkage and much prone to sulfate attack, right? So everything is linked, everything is interlinked, right? So rapid hardening cement, the particles are finely grinded. It means that they have high surface area, and high surface or high specific surface area is directly proportional to heat of hydration. Directly proportional to heat of, this is important. Okay. Now fifth property is the strength of rapid hardening cement. The 1 day strength is almost equal to 3 times the ordinary Portland cement strength. Right? Next one is, which I have already explained you, more shrinkage. Why? Because particles are finely grinded. More shrinkage. Okay. If more shrinkage is there, more water will be required. I will explain you later in concrete. Okay. Now, initial setting time is of 10 minutes and final setting time was of 10 hours for rapid hardening cement. Okay. So that was all about rapid hardening cement. So the next type of cement, the third type is extra rapid hardening cement. Okay. As from the name, I have already told you about rapid hardening. In rapid hardening, tricalcium silicate was in greater content as compared to dicalcium silicate. Now, as far as the extra rapid hardening cement is concerned, obviously the question may be, so if I want to get extra rapid hardening cement, I have to increase the percentage of C3S again more. But again, I have already told you, if you increase a particular constituent by some percentage, you have to decrease some other constituents, right? So to maintain the continuity, what we do is that we do not increase the percentage of C3S much more, but we add some calcium chloride. How much calcium chloride is added? So 2% of calcium chloride is added, extra provided for the rapid hardening property. This is important. This question has been asked in a lot of examinations, that in extra rapid hardening cement, which of the following is added? One is calcium carbide, then calcium chloride, some other two options are also there. The correct option is, that is calcium chloride, 2%. Okay. Next property is mixing and transportation time. Now, when you mix and when you transport, it is in a batch, then the total time you have got only 10 to 20 minutes only. It means that if you are applying rapid hardening cement in a particular region, if you are using it, then the transportation or the manufacturing of this cement and the transportation site, they should not be very far. Otherwise, what will happen? The batch mixers, okay, the cement will set in the batches itself, right? So it will not be, it will be almost next to impossible to transport it to a larger area or larger distance, right? So this is you can say a con of this, that the mixing and transportation site should be very closer to the actual application site, okay, because the time is very small, 10 to 20 minutes only. Okay. Next is the 1 day strength of rapid hardening cement. It is around 25% more than the OPC. It means that 1.25 times of OPC. That is strength. The 7 day strength is 20%. Okay. Now, the next type of cement is high alumina cement. Now, there is a trick, right? The name is high alumina. It means that aluminum content should be higher, but you know that C3A is absent here. This is the trick, okay? So don't get confused. High alumina does not mean it has a very high content of alumina. It means that C3A will be absent, right? Now, what will happen if C3A is absent? I have already told you C3A has the highest heat of hydration. How much it was? It was 800 something kilojoules per kg. Okay. Now, if C3 is absent, what will happen? It will have low heat of hydration. If low heat of hydration will be there, what will happen? Low sulfate attack. Why? Because the expansion, the sourness will be less, there will be less cracks, less sulfate attack will be there. I have already told you, if not told, then I am again telling you, heat of hydration is directly proportional to strength and is directly proportional to sulfate attack. The more heat of hydration, the more sulfate attack. Okay, right? So high alumina cement C3A is absent. It has low heat of hydration, less acid and sulfate attack. High heat of hydration directly proportional to sulfate attack. Okay. Now, where is it used? It is used in coastal areas, because in coastal areas there is more probability of getting a sulfate attack. What is sulfate attack? We will be discussing in detail when I will be teaching you about concrete and the properties of concrete. I will be teaching you in detail about the sulfate attack. Okay. Now the one-day strength of alumina cement, high alumina cement is 30 newtons per mm square, and 7-day strength is 35 newton per mm square. Right. So the next type of cement is the fifth type is low heat cement. In low heat cement, whenever you go for with the construction work, a less amount of heat is evolved. Right. So low heat cement, I told you that the heat of hydration for belite, which is known as the dicalcium silicate, it least, right? So obviously it will have, if it is higher, it will have low heat of hydration. So here C2S is greater than C3, which is general case, OPC, right? Okay, but here C2S in comparison to C3 is much higher, right? It means that what I told you that, for example, let us say C2S is, it would be around 42% and C3S will be lesser. Let's say it will be around 28 to 30% something. It means that the difference will be much higher as compared to the OPC, right? In OPC, the difference is lower, but in low heat cement, the difference will be higher. Okay. Now, initial setting time, as it is low heat cement, obviously it will take more time because C2S is responsible for later days strength, right? So initial setting time it will be around 1 hour and final setting time it will be around 10 hours. This is important. Okay. Now, low sulfated acid attack. Why? Because less heat of hydration, and hence low sulfate attack and acid attack. Because I already told you that heat of hydration is directly proportional to sulfate attack plus acid attack. I already told you that. Okay. Now, this is important because this has been asked in examinations. That what type of cement is used in gravity dams? So this is the answer, that low heat cement is used in gravity dams. Now you tell me why low heat cement is used in gravity dams. What should the reason? Just think. What should the reason? Some might be knowing and some might not be knowing. The students who don't know, I would like to tell them that gravity dam is a big structure, right? If you have seen the gravity dams in your nearby area, if not, then it doesn't matter, just Google, you will get the picture of gravity dams. Okay, so gravity dam is the biggest structure. It's a dam, it's a big dam in which the resisting force is the weight of the structure, right? Or the balancing force is the weight of the structure. Okay, so it stands due to its weight, as it is a very big structure. Obviously, let us say instead of low heat cement, I use high heat cement, or you can say rapid hardening cement. Let us say rapid hardening cement. If I use, what will happen? Now it is a big structure, so a lot of energy will be evolved. If a lot of energy will be evolved, what will happen? There will be a lot of cracks. If there will be a lot of cracks, I have told you it is directly proportional to the sulfate attack. It means that the reinforcement, if there is reinforcement, if not reinforcement, the concrete will get deteriorated in due course of time, right? So after some days, after some years, it will be of no use. So that is why in gravity dams we go with the low heat cement. Important. Okay. Now this was important. I have already explained you why. Because it's the biggest structure. The next type of cement is quick setting cement. As already from the name it is clear, quick setting, it will set quickly. Now I would like to tell you one thing is that quick setting, whenever you will increase the amount of gypsum, whenever, again this is important, it has been asked, if you increase the amount of gypsum, what will happen? The thing is that the cement will set very slowly. Again I am repeating, if gypsum is higher, setting amount will be, setting time will be higher. Right? So if you want a quick setting cement, if you want that the cement should set very quickly, what should you do? You should reduce the content of gypsum. This is important, right? Now, initial setting time is 5 minutes and the final setting time is around 30 minutes. Now, where it is used in drains. In drains, let us say that there is a drain, water is flowing, right? Now you make some partition, you make an obstruction, a hindrance, you do the repair work, okay, and after let us say 5 minutes, you just remove the partition or the obstruction, the water will again go, right? If it is not a quick setting cement, if you are using let us say OPC or some other cement, what will happen? The upper layer will get washed away, right? So that is why we are using quick setting cement. So the next type of cement, the 7th number is colored cement, right? It is also known as white cement. Okay, so what happens is that, you know that I already told you that iron oxide Fe2O3 is added for color purpose, right? Now what will happen if Fe2O3 is not added? Then the color of the cement will be after if you after clean cover it will be white, right? So if you do not add Fe2O3, the color is actually white. It means that the iron oxide is removed. You will get a white color. Where it is used for tiles and for aesthetic purpose also. If you do not get a proper white color, what do? We add some chalk also, white chalk, right? The next type of cement is Portland Pozzolana cement. Okay, the cement which we are using actually. So what it is, it has some fly ash mixed with it, right? The normal cement which we are, the Ambuja cement, some other cements which you are getting from market, it has some fly ash mixed with it, right? So what is fly ash? Let us say you have a thermal power plant. Now, if you have seen some thermal power plant that in the early morning, what happens is that the nearby areas they have some ash-like things right on their roof. So what is that? That is a fly ash. Okay, that is very dangerous for environment. So what people are doing that they are using fly ash as an alternative, right? They are adding some fly ash to the cement. What it does? It increases the workability of cement. What is workability? The ease of handling cement or concrete. Okay, so Portland Pozzolana cement, in this cement fly ash around 30 to 35% of fly ash is added. It has got three benefits actually. First benefit is cost is reduced. Second benefit is environment friendly, and third benefit is it increases the workability of concrete, okay, and cement. Where it is used for marine works. Okay, so students, that's all for today. That's all for this video. In this video, we learned about the manufacturing of cement, the types of cement, okay, some properties of cement, okay, and we learned about the Bogies compound, we learned about the exothermic reaction. So all these things we have learned. And in between the video, I have also told you what types of questions they can ask or they have already asked in examinations. Now, whatever I have taught you in this lecture is basically a theoretical portion, because if in this portion there is no numerical actually. All these things are theoretical. But if your theory is strong, then only you can solve the numericals. Okay. In the next subsequent videos, I'll be teaching you about aggregates, the coarse and fine aggregates, and in next subsequent videos, I'll be teaching you about concrete, the properties of concrete, IS 456-2000 recommendations, and a lot of things. Now, apart from these 8 type of cements, there are n number of cements, a lot of type of cements. The type you want, you can change the constituents, you will get that type. But these are not important as far as the gate point of view is concerned. So whatever was important as far as the gate point of view, so I have taught you everything, right? So this was important. So now let's move forward and let's discuss about the aggregate, that is the coarse and the fine aggregate.